Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Dana Bash tries to corner Tom Homan on what actually is or is not going to happen when it comes to illegal immigration, and he knocks this answer right out of the park. Let's dive in.
I want to ask with something that you said last night, that your deportation operation starts today. Did it?
Yeah, ISIS, they're out there enforcing law out today. And of course, as I've said numerous times, they're concentrating on public safety threats. That'll be our priority right out of the gate. So ICE officers are back to doing their job.
Where? Where are these, are they actual raids? And how is it different from what we saw yesterday or the day before?
Well, look, I wouldn't call them raids. They're target enforcement operations. They know exactly who they're looking for. They know pretty much where they'll find them. So again, these are well-planned operations. They're well investigated, so they have a lot of backup information when they go out there. A whole team goes out for officer safety concerns. So this happens throughout the nation. I mean, I'm not going to tell you specific locations out of officer safety concerns, but ICE is back doing their job effective today. They haven't been able to do it for years.
Well, I'm going to follow up on that in 1 second, but who is ICE going after right now? I know that you and others said several times that it is the people who pose the biggest public safety threat to Americans who would be approached and deported first. Is that still the case?
Yes, people in the country illegally that have a criminal conviction that makes them a public safety threat. That's our priority.
How are you finding them?
Again, these ICE officers across the country have a 90-10 docket. They know who these people are. When they don't show up in court, they fail to leave as ordered by an immigration judge, or they have, NCIC information on someone who was arrested for a violent crime here that's in the country illegally. They take those leads, they do investigative work, and through that work, try to find out where these people may be located. And that's the whole investigative piece they do before they go out and actually make an arrest.
And so what is happening as we speak is limited to those with criminal records?
That's the target of this operation, but like I said many times, in places like sanctuary cities where we can't arrest a bad person in the jail, we would like to have access to the jail to arrest a criminal alien in the safety and security of a county jail, which is safer for the community, safer for the officers, and safer for the alien. But when you release a public safety threat out of a sanctuary jail and won't give us access to him, that means we got to go to the neighborhood and find him. And we will find him. But when we find him, he may be with others. Others that don't have a criminal conviction but are in the country illegally, they will be arrested too. Because we're not going to strike, and this is the difference between the last administration and this administration, ICE is going to enforce the immigration law. There's nothing in the INA, the Immigration Nationality Act, says you got to be convicted of a serious crime in order to be removed from this country. So there's going to be more collateral arrests in sanctuary cities because they forced us to go in the community and find the guy we're looking for.
You know, I think that there is some kind of image that people might have, given how much we heard President Trump and you in the months during the campaign and certainly during the transition talking about what's going to happen of people being rounded up, loaded on buses, and dropping them off on the border. Is that how you see this happening?
Well, I don't like the analogy of rounding up. Look, again, this is a targeted enforcement operation. The president's been clear on this. We're going to concentrate on public safety threats. But in sanctuary cities, where they don't let us take that public safety threat into custody in the safety and security of a jail, we have to go find him. If he's with others in the country illegally, ICE will not turn the blind eye to that. ICE is going to uphold the oath they took. They're going to enforce the laws enacted by Congress and signed by a president. And they're going to do that without apology. I mean, if sanctuary cities force us in this position, that's exactly what's going to happen.
How many deportations do you think that you can carry out this year? Last year, for example, the Biden administration did deport about 270,000 people, which is the most since 2014. I know you said ICE has not been doing its job, but there have been a lot of deportations? What's going to happen coming up?
That is not accurate. The Biden administration is hiding the numbers. If you look at those removal numbers, over 80% were Border Patrol apprehensions on the border that were immediately removed. They weren't ICE removals. So if you look at what ICE has done in the interior of the United States under 4 years of President Biden, they have the lowest numbers of removals in the history of the agency, despite a historic illegal crisis on the southern border. So they can claim 270, 240,000, whatever removals. That's simply not the fact. And under the Trump administration, were there fewer removals? Yes. And why was that? Because we secured the border. We weren't releasing millions of people in the United States to have to go find and remove. So it doesn't matter how many people were deported, it's how many people were released in this country, and millions were released into this country by the Biden administration that were not released by the Trump administration.
And there you have it, straight from the horse's mouth. What Tom Homan is talking about there has been a pernicious lie that for the past year or so, that the Biden administration has been much better on illegal immigration. When the truth of the matter is, what they've really been doing is they have been counting the apprehensions at the border and the immediate deportations as normal deportations. They didn't used to count them like that. They used to have their own separate category. And so they added that to the other total and called it a smashing success, which is quite literally the definition of cooking the books. So that's essentially the best that the Biden administration can really do for the American people. And that is not only lie to your faces, but then tell you that they're doing a good job while doing an even worse job than past presidents combined. Let's be honest here, we could at least go back to a days when Barack Obama was the deporter-in-chief. That's what he was literally known as, because he would still have the guts to deport people who came into this country illegally. However, ever since then, the Democrat Party has thought, maybe having illegal migrants come here is a good thing, because in their minds, there's one of two ways you can see this. It's either one, you're under that Lindsey Grahamnesty mindset that, well, we have a population crash incoming, we need to pay for the boomers, Social Security and Medicare aren't paying for themselves, and heck, Medicare isn't even the number 2 expenditure now, it's the number 3. The number 2 expenditure for our government is the interest payments that we have to take loans out for just to afford our Social Security and Medicare payments. Okay, that is a problem. And so a bunch of Democrats and a few Republicans too think that the solution to that problem is, well, just let a lot of people come in. Just flood the border. Don't worry about the problem. Europe is trying that right about now. How's that working out for you? Particularly Great Britain. How's the acid attacks and the knifings on the underground working for y'all? Fun, isn't it? At least we're lucky we get people with Western adjacent views. Europe is not so lucky in that regard, and I'm just going to leave that one there. So Tom Homan is out there reminding the press, people like Dana Bash, who have been peddling the lie that, well, Joe Biden's actually been better on the border recently. Can you really match his energy? Oh, absolutely. Do not threat the Republican Party with a good time. We must deport the people who have come in here illegally and have committed crimes. I'm not even sure that people who have come in here legally should even be allowed to sit around. Personally, I think the solution is you've got to pay a fine. And then the businesses, every single business that has hired an illegal alien needs to pay a massive fine to the United States government. I think that is the only way to solve the problem for the non-violent people that are here legally and are actually contributing to the nation, but aren't really contributing in the right way. This also separates sort of the wheat from the chaff, and that way we can see who cares and who's trying to undermine this great nation. We are a nation of immigrants. We've heard that time and time again. But the reality was, when the immigrants came over to America, particularly from Central and Eastern Europe, they quite literally told their children, take on an American name, learn English as fast as possible, we'll keep to some old ways, but outside of this household, you are an American. You have some background in the old country, but we left that country because it sucked. Europe in the middle of the 1800s, just for lack of a better word, sucked. Mainly because of Karl Marx, because he quite literally wrote Das Kapital and the Communist Manifesto, and within a single year, all of Europe was undergoing revolutions. And so, also, side note, Marxism, communism sucks. We kind of know that. But ultimately, when people came over to America, they decided that English was the way to go. They must be doing something right over there in America, or else we wouldn't have to leave. Okay, think about that very briefly. Then in our early history, back during the revolutionary days and the colonial days, we had people coming over to escape tyranny in Great Britain. That's sort of the running theme here, escaping tyranny. Unfortunately, what can happen is that people can bring tyranny with them. That's not fair to the country that they are now moving to. That's not fair to the nation that they're potentially harming. Okay, it is safe to say, because by the way, I'm an ex-park ranger. We quite literally had a division of people to deal with invasive species. Now, I don't want to talk about humans in that matter. That's not fair to the people who are wanting to come here because they've recognized, oh, this system's better. The one we have at home can't be fixed. Let's be Americans. I want people with that mindset. I want people with that heart and mentality. I want Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay? I want people like I believe J.D. Vance's wife is first generation. I want people who fundamentally understand that America is the way it is because we have a free and open society, because we have believed in the ideas written and founded in our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution, that our government has not at least been briefly saved from and not been given over into the hands of tyrants. That's the mentality that Americans need to keep in order to keep our nation the best nation in the world. And immigrants can be key to that. The H-1B visas, we got to keep them, but who says we can't reform it and filter out some of the problems and the garbage? We can make sure that America is being fair to its citizens and to the people who want to become citizens. People who have committed violent crimes and come over illegally? No. I believe in the ideals of deportation, and I believe those are issues that the country that they came from need to deal with. That's of Tom Homan's mindset. I believe he's right on that. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Why do you think the Dana Bash is running point for the Biden administration, even though Americans clearly kicked out the Biden mantra, particularly the ex-border czar herself, Kamala Harris, at the polls? But let me know what you think down in the comments below. I think I've talked enough for one day. So folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.